What's going on, guys? Nick here. Today we're going to be installing Stoptech rotors and pads onto the WRX hatch. Also, we're going to be doing rear calipers because I've been having a problem with my right rear. So I'm going to change bolts. The performance is the same. So we have rear calipers and front and rear rotors and pads to go on the WRX today. So we actually have access to a lift today, which is really cool. My buddy Corey is letting me use his lift, and we're going to be working on the car together. This is the caliper that I've been having problems with. So as you can see, it wore the pads down to like bare metal and it destroyed the rotor. All the other ones are still at like half-life, so we're having a problem with this one. So we're probably just going to swap the two of these out, change everything. So we're going to start on the back. We're going to jack the car up, and then we're going to pull the wheels off here, and then we're going to start taking the rotors and calipers off on the back. Okay, we have my buddy Corey here. You guys have the first time seeing him on the channel. We have the wheels off so we can show you guys what's going on here. So we're going to have to remove the entire caliper. So there are a few things that need to be done. There's a bracket on the back here with the larger bolts that hold it on. They're usually about 17s, I believe. We have to remove the brake line from the caliper here. And there is a few more. There's one more thing right back here. That has to be removed as well. That looks like a 10 mil or maybe a little bit smaller. And then once the whole caliper is removed, we can start taking the rotor off. And then once the rotor's removed, we can install the new caliper and the new rotor and pads. But like I said, we're going to start by trying to remove this first and then taking off the rotor. Okay, so we have the caliper almost removed. We just have to take the brake line off of it. But these are what the pads look like on this side. There's literally like nothing left of them, and all the other ones are about half worn, so there's something wrong with this caliper. I don't know if it's hung up or just not lubricated properly, but we're going to swap out the rears, both of them, so that we have equal performance on both sides and nothing's all whacked out. Now we just have to remove the rotor, and we can start swapping all these parts out, and we can unhook this and put the new caliper on as well. Okay, just to be so you guys can keep up with me here, the two bolts that hold the caliper on, they are both 14 millimeters, and the nut that holds on your brake line, that is also a 12 mil. So but you use 14s for these, 12 for this. Alright, so this is how far we've gotten. We have the old rotor off. Get a really heavy sledgehammer like this one and just kind of beat the hell out of it until it starts coming off. Then we put the new caliper on. We have the new rotor on as well with the pads. We just have to put this back up like this and attach the line. We had the line up here on the strut wrapped in a rag. When we reattach that, we're gonna have to bleed the brakes to make sure that everything is good and there's no air in the lines. So we're gonna put everything back together on this side, then we're gonna start doing the other side, and then we can start with the front when we are done. Alright, just so you can see how bad the other caliper was on this side, these were the pads we pulled off from the left side, and these are the pads we pulled off from the right side. So these are just completely disintegrated. There's nothing left of them. These still have a bunch of life left in them, but we're going to swap out everything anyway. So everything's all the same. Everything's all fresh and new. So we have both calipers off. We have the new rotor on here. We have the line detached up into the strut. So now we just have to attach the caliper to this side of it. We're going to clean everything up. We can put the wheels on the back, and then we can start working on the fronts. Okay, we got the wheels off on the front. This caliper is now off. The bolts for the bracket that hold the calipers on the front are 17 mils, not 14 like the rear is. Since we don't have to remove the calipers completely off of this one, we kept the brake line on, and we're gonna change the rotor first. So we're gonna beat this to get it off, which actually, this might actually have the holes that you can put a bolt through just like the BRZ does, so we might be able to do it a little easier. So we might be able to get these off a little bit easier, and then we will change out the pads into the caliper, and we should be good. And then we just got to finish the other side, and then the car will be completely done. Okay, so we have the new rotor on. We just changed out the clips that hold the pads onto the inside of the caliper. These pads on the front were like literally brand new, but since we're swapping out new rotors, we might as well change them anyway. But they had to be done because of the rear was so worn down, probably from hanging up. So we're just gonna change it all at the same time, kind of upgrade the car a little bit. So we have to attach the caliper now, and once we do that, we'll open it up, put the new pads in it, close it up, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, we're finally finishing up with both of the fronts. This side is done. Corey is tightening up this side. Just about done, then we can put the wheels on. The only other thing we're probably gonna have to do is bleed the brakes in the rear because we had to remove the calipers and a little bit of brake fluid leaked out. So we'll have to bleed that out once this is tightened on, put the wheels on, and then we'll have to bed the brakes in, which I explained in the BRZ brake install video. Stoptech has a bedding process that's posted on their website, so if you do want to know how to do it with Stoptech brakes, it is on their website. I could probably put a link in the description for it. But once we have the wheels on, we can drop the car down and leave the brakes in the rear and then just bed them in. Alright guys, it's a couple days later. The car is completely done now. We stopped filming that day because we were running out of time, and I wanted to make sure that the brakes were bedded in properly and the brakes were also bled properly in the rear. So I'll show you guys what these look like all around on the car. Really happy with the way that these are. So these brakes are doing really well in the car. They're bedded in and they're bled in the rear. These are slotted. I believe they're the same size as the stock rotors, but the pads are a little bit more aggressive, so they do bite pretty hard when you're stopping. I'm very satisfied with these, and hopefully we don't have a problem with the calipers in the rear. So the calipers are new, so they're nice and shiny. We're going to be painting them probably anyway in the springtime, so even though they look really nice like this, we're probably going to be painting them. But this needed to be done because of the problem in the calipers in the rear. I just wanted to make sure that there was equal braking performance on this side versus the other side, so that's why we did calipers on both sides. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about the install of anything on this car, about bleeding the brakes, about bedding the pads in, I'll probably have like the Stoptech's bedding process posted in the description below. Any questions about this install, feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.